Probando. Good morning. I want to welcome you to the Bar Association and on behalf of Jose Ramon, who is here, and myself. Today is a very special day for us because it's our first meeting of the Law and Innovation that we preside over section in the law school. And we couldn't think of a better way to do having so many friends and people I admire, and very special professionals and very awesome people. Thank you, Legal Hackers, for hosting us, for hosting this conference and allowing us to be part of it. And thanks, Laura, like always. She's always in the dark side, but she's there. Yeah. she don't want to appear, but if she's not here, it would be impossible. And all the member of the boards. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody. It's an honor to be here and to talk a little about the legal hackers movement. My name is Kanan Dhru. I'm one of the operational board members, along with the members here on the stage, and Jameson Dempsey, one of the global directors of legal hackers. So the movement started in 2012 in the USA with an event on the East Coast, which is where some of the people from the legal sector and from the technology sector came together to explore what are the issues and what are some of the questions at the intersection of law and technology that needed to be discussed and which needed a community to set up to continuously making sure that the recent development in this space can be kept up to date with, and that there are, platforms for everyone to voice their opinions. And what started in 2012 has now become a global movement across more than 200 chapters across different cities. There has been events of legal hackers over the last 11 years now, and we are extremely thrilled that for the first time we have in Madrid the annual legal summit of the legal hackers. So we are very, very honored that Madrid has hosted this fantastic community this year. And a great bunch of people from across the world have come together for these 3 days. And we are here for great conversations and also continuing to explore the issues at the intersection of law and technology. And yes, the floor is now with Laura or anyone who would like to add anything.
I'll talk briefly. Hi, everyone. I promised last night that I wasn't going to talk, and it's for a very important reason. My name is Jameson Dempsey. I'm one of the global directors of Legal Hackers. I've been involved with the community since it started in 2012. I founded the second chapter of Legal Hackers. It started in New York, but then we realized it was something that applied in various cities around the United States and potentially around the world. And so we started growing this community, but it was still kind of, from an operational perspective, run out of New York City and wherever I happen to be in Washington, D.C. or New York or now in California. But now we have 200 chapters all around the world, and very, very passionate people, lawyers, technologists, designers, entrepreneurs, students, coming together to explore these pressing issues and to develop creative solutions together. And so when the pandemic hit, and it was 2012, and we were coming up on the 10th anniversary of Legal Hackers, we started to ask the question, how can we ensure that the leadership of Legal Hackers reflects the diversity and the global nature of the community? And with that, we formed a new operational board. This is the first time that Legal Hackers leadership includes people who are outside of the United States. And those people are the people who you see on this stage, as well as a few others who unfortunately weren't able to make it, but who are from Africa and from Mexico and Latin America. And so the reason that I said I wasn't going to talk is because this movement, the spokespeople of this movement should reflect its global diversity. And these people who are on the stage here, who are part of the operational board, have even more experience, I think, than I do in running events, in building communities, and bringing people together, in taking the movement from professional lawyers to students, to representing different sectors from designers, technologists. And so that's really why I wanted to take a step back and bring this global community together with its global spirit and its new global leadership. So what I would love is if we could all give a round of applause to the new operational board who's been leading this. But the success of Legal Hackers really comes down to all of you, because you are part of the Legal Hackers movement, which means that I encourage you all to be very, very active in today's unconference, to ask questions, to get involved, to see how you can help, to see what you can contribute to the conversations. You're all experts in your own respective fields, and that's why you're all here today, to share and then also to learn from other experts as well. And I'm going to be a part of it from a participatory point of view, which I'm very, very excited about. So before I stop talking, maybe for the rest of the time, thank you, Madrid Legal Hackers. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Isa. Thank you, everyone from the Spanish Legal Hackers community who's helped to make this possible. We're really, really excited as the global board of Legal Hackers to have our first ever global summit outside of New York City and here in Madrid, one of our first international chapters ever. Also, thank you so much to the sponsors of this event who've made this possible. Without you, we wouldn't have this beautiful space. We wouldn't have this delicious coffee. I'm still on Los Angeles time right now, so I'm going to need a lot of these. So thank you. And with that, thank you all very much. Have a great conference.
Thank you all. Here, so that you know, for the non-legal hackers being there in the room, here Victor is in charge of onboarding all the new chapters. So if you come from a place where there is no legal hacker chapter, or you want to get more involved at some point, you can reach out to Victor. And Rafael is in charge of the legal matters of the legal hackers. So you can also discuss with him if you have good ideas for the different issues we legal hackers know we have. And Canan is in charge of partnerships. So if you're also willing to favor some kind of sponsorship, partnership, or all kind of collaboration, just reach out to her. On this, I'm just, before we start with a really important part, I'm going to explain what we intend to do this morning, because we're all here together, the Legal Hackers co-organizer for the whole weekend. So this is the open part this morning, where we want to discuss the topics that we usually discuss with our chapters event, and we want to push this further. We're always looking for new topics, interesting topics. We've been talking a lot about yesterday evening about whether the mainstream things and the hype things, and we're not here to create more hype, but yes, we are here, we're explorers, and in all our different chapters and in all the different situations of the different countries, we try to stay ahead by finding the topics that are really relevant and not yet well talked or enough talked or enough debated in the legal and tech communities. So that's why we're here this morning, because then this afternoon we will gather between organizers and we will address our internal chapter issues, challenges, and we will address this at the university this afternoon, which, by the way, leads me to say that we will end here at 1 o'clock sharp, because those going then afterwards to the university, we need to go take transport and have the lunch in the afternoon at the university for the Legal Hackers co-organizers. So we've been asking around who wanted to talk and who had a subject. Martinez, you can go with the guy taking the pictures and give him your slides. So the idea is that this will be very participative. We know that many of you want to address a Gen AI topic, but there are others. So those who have reached out and said, yes, we want to discuss this and that, will do so. So we have a different array of topics that we will be addressing. We have put their papers So you can see the two first ones are what would you like to talk about? So if there is something that you want to discuss, you have pencil there. And you can see that you also have two big hands. So the idea is that you can also use the big hands if you want to talk while you're not on stage. We will need to circulate some hand microphones because that's being streamed too. So if we don't talk on the microphone, people will not be hearing us. And we're here just to fill in the blanks because the Bar Association wanted to have speakers there, but actually the real speakers are going to be you. We will start with an order and then we will just let empty chairs here. I don't know if anyone is familiar with the fishbowl way of a conference. So the idea is that people who want to bring to the conversation will just be coming. We're all going to be leaving. And well, someone might stay to kind of orchestrate everything there, but we will be leaving and the people will be taking the stage little by little. So some have already sent some slides. We will have some time. Individual interventions will be 10 minutes long, max, because if not, a lot of people want to talk about a lot of things. So if not, we're not going to succeed. We have also put there a paper with forbidden words. If you're fed up with something that we're saying, with just stand up and write down the forbidden word. If there are words you don't want to listen to, just write them down here and we will do our best to, not the people talking here will do their best to not say these words, okay? So that's how we're going to do this. Thanks again to, of course, Madrid Bar Association. I know that every time we propose something, they're afraid of us, but they always say yes at the end. So it's really a pleasure to be there and that this is the first moment, the first event of the innovation section of the Bar Association, which is more and more active and making their members participating to this thing. So thanks again to everyone. And let's start with the interesting stuff now. So maybe we will start with the Gen AI topic. For this, we have two people who are going to show us use cases. So I will ask these two persons to come on stage. And then I suggest that those who are willing to debate on this can just come and sit while they're talking or after. So we are going to leave. Yes, we're going to leave. I would ask Manu and James to come. So they're both are going to explain some use cases of Gen AI within their companies. And we think that this will be a good ground for conversation after. So while they're talking, feel free to, maybe you can, yeah, your presentation is there. Do you have no, you're not using slide at the end, right? No, I don't have any. Okay. So Manu, you start, then you start James, and then I will maybe, yeah, you can sit over there. Yeah. Okay. Let me see if I can. And again, please feel free to stand up, to participate, to write down on the end, because we don't have that much time. There will not be a real formal break for coffee or whatever. So just when you want, you just go out, grab your coffee, go to the toilet, whatever you want, and you come back. Okay?
Okay, perfect. So I'm not sure. Okay, I'm seeing my screen in that one, but I think it should be moved to that one quite soon. So first of all, I would really like to thank all the legal hackers community for inviting to this event and also to the Madrid Bar Association for hosting it. And first of all, let me introduce. Okay, I'm Manu Mateo from Lefebvre, legal publisher. We are in all Europe. I mean, And we are in France, in Belgium, in the Netherlands, Italy, and Germany. And I'm going to present you a couple of products that we are actually working on. One of them will be live in a couple of weeks. One other one, it's still a POC, but I'm going to show you what we are doing. And first of all, I would really like to say that what we are actually doing is not, or we really believe it's going to change the way our customers deals with our products, but also GenAI has changed a lot the way we are internally creating new products and the way we are really thinking in our company about creating new products. So we have really moved very fast from creating or developing or thinking in products from a local point of view, just each country start working on their own products. And now we have really moved really fast in our company, in the minds of our managers, even the minds of our developers, to really work as a group to really move faster. So first of all, I'm going to show you a product. This is a product for the Spanish lawyers that will be launched in a couple of weeks. And what we have done in this product, this is a legal databases with 7 million of documents talking about jurisprudence, legislations, doctrine, internal contents coming from our publishers. And what we are doing is just to include some GenAI functionalities. So what we really want to make is that our customers, the lawyers, the advisors, can really work in a different way with our content. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples. Okay, I even translated here. So let's start with an easy one. So talking about compensation for a fire damage in a house. Okay, we just need to write here the question, the query we want to perform. And what we are going to do actually is that okay, we are using GenAI to create and generate a new content. This new content, this new answer is going to be based only in our documents. So we are not taking any content or any website from the internet. We are only working with our jurisprudence, our legislation, our doctrine. So we can really make sure that the new answer generated by GPT, by GenAI algorithms is going to be really updated in that from that point of view. So here, what we are doing is that, okay, we'll go a bit bigger. Okay, here what we are doing is, first of all, we are providing a first answer to the question. 1 paragraph, 2 paragraphs, but a very concrete answer. And also what we have done here is to include a reference, as you can see, so the user, the lawyer, the customers can really go to the original document that has been taken into account for GenAI to create that answer. So whenever he maybe doesn't rely on the new answer generated by GenAI, okay, he can go directly to that document to really go to the original document and keep working on that. And it's not really clear maybe in this screen, but also what we have done, and that's one of the tricky part of the development that we have done, is that we are not always sending the full document to GPT to generate that question. We are only sending really the part of the document that is related to the question of the user. So here in this short document, it's coming from a memento, an author's doctrine coming from our company. This second paragraph is it's highlighted. So we only sent to GPT this second paragraph. Okay, we provide the full document, the full short document to the user, so he can read it. He can have the context of the document. But when creating the new answer by GenAI, we are just sending the precise part of the document that is really related with his question. Okay, but we have not only include a first answer, we have only include here, as you can see, some different skills that, again, those are new skills that are going to be based on GenAI. Okay, so for example, this one is related to questions and answers. What are we doing here? Okay, based on the query from the user, based on the answer we have created at the beginning, we are now providing him new questions that are related to his topic. Those are questions, again, generated by Gen AI that are related to his topic. So he can go deeply, or he can start thinking about some topics related with his question that maybe he didn't have in mind at that time, or now he can go further to that topic. So, and we are not only providing new queries about, okay, which is the regulation for the fire of a house, or which is the legal foundation to have that the indemnification, or which are the elements that I need to take into account to evaluate the indemnification. We are providing the question, and then also if you click on it, you will have the answer again generated by the algorithm based on that query, and again with all the references to the to the original document that has been taken into account. Okay, so there are different. Okay, let's go for another example. One of the great things also that we have seen with Gen AI is that we can start working in a very different ways, because until now, okay, let's go, for example, for a bit more complex one, so a longer one. So which are the implication of issuing and selling cryptocurrencies for a company. One of the things also, as I was saying, that we have realized that we can do now with Gen AI is that the user can really start writing his query in a very natural language. Until now, normally, when our customers goes and start working with a legal database, they start just making very short queries with 2, 3, 4 keywords maybe. But now you can start really writing in the way that you really want. Okay, so okay, when we start asking this this question, okay, at the beginning again, we will start creating the new answer provided by Gen AI, and after that we will have again all the same skills with additional tasks that, okay, we will see right now how they work. Okay, we have seen, okay, it's creating actually the new answer. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes should be shorter. Okay, that will depend again on the answer, but again with all the references, some bold words, so you can really read it, I mean, in a very easy way. Okay, we have seen to have questions and answers. We can start creating answer based just on a specific kind of document. For example, answer coming from the memento will create an answer that is going to be based only on the mementos. Mementos is one of our doctrine type of documents in Lefebvre. So we are just creating now this answer based only on our editorial documents. Okay, so maybe it's like more an author's answer. Okay, so and here you will have the reference to all the different mementos. You can also have what we have called here jurisprudence arguments. So in this case, we are going to create an answer based only on case law and jurisprudence. And we are going to provide to the users 3 arguments against and 3 arguments in force of the problem that he has written. Because as you know, jurisprudence always, I mean, if you go deeply and start searching in the database, you will find again always sentences and case law that goes in different, even in the opposite way. So here we are providing arguments in for and against about the problem and the question that the user has done. So this answer, it's only based on jurisprudence. Okay, there are also, okay, maybe you can have an answer based only in administrative doctrine, especially for tax lawyers. That's really important. Also, you can have, for example, what we have called here a table of conclusions. We are providing here a very different type of answer. It's going to be even a different format, a table. So we are providing here in the first column just okay, which are the specific case and which are the consequences for that case against everything related to the problem of the user. Okay, to the query that the user has written. Okay, so here in a very different format, a new type of answer. Okay, and I will go just for a last example on this product. So as I was saying at the beginning, we can even provide a very long query. In this case, okay, during the weekend, an employee uses his computer to access to a colleague email that is set as a personal. Can the employer fire this guy for misconduct? Okay, this is what we are going to ask here now to the product. Okay, and again, it will work in the same way as I was saying. If we really want to make this kind of query in a current legal database product, well, it will not really work. Okay, it's really long and it will not work. But here, as you will see, it will. I mean, we are really surprised that it really works perfectly. So and again, it will work in the same way that, okay, first we have the answer, and after that we will have some different skills. Okay, some different features. For example, there are, let's see just a couple of them. There are these two last one. This is the legal explanation. So it's going to be a more technical answer. Okay, based again on all the different contents, jurisprudence, legislation, and so on. So it will be created into different parts. First of all, we will have the legal fundaments, the legal reasoning, and after that we will have here the conclusions based on those legal arguments. So it's a quite technical new answer. Okay, and also we have the last one. It's almost the opposite. It's a more colloquial answer. Okay, maybe sometimes we need to explain to our customer okay, which are the consequences of taking a look at the email of a colleague and so on. So we are creating a new answer that it will explain, or it will provide a solution to the problem, but in a non-technical language. Okay, so okay, there are going to be for sure some references, but someone who is not a lawyer will really understand this answer. Okay, and wow, this is what we are doing, and one of the products we are working at La Route in our company. This is a product that will be launched quite soon in a couple of weeks, and well, we are really excited about it, because also as much as we play with the product, as much as we keep in contact with customers and they test it, okay, ideas are coming really fast, and one of the main issues we have actually is that the roadmap is getting really big. So that's really excited about it. And another product. This is again another different way to use Gen AI. The way we are doing in our company. This is a book. It's a writing and drafting assistant. Again, always it's going to be based in our contents, because we really want to make sure that the solution, the answer provided by Gen AI from a legal point of view is taking into account the updated documents, well-written documents, and so on. So in this product, okay, we'll have also this one it's working with French documents. So for example, okay, we can also start asking some different questions. Okay, if I the time that I go from a house to the office, is that working time or not? Okay, we can start again asking this type of questions. Okay, so we will start having in a similar way as the one we have seen, again the solution. And also for us, it's really important to provide the original documents. So that's going to be really important for the user to really consider a reliable answer. I mean, okay, I really believe that answer. I can check even the original document. So okay, I feel more comfortable with that. So that's what we are doing here, or we can provide. So for example, tell me or list the different ways I can fire the reason. So for I can fire an employee. Okay, so here I will start having, for example, a list, or which are the different reasons I can fire a person. So okay, we can start also again working in a very different way, as we were doing until now. But also one of the core features of coolest things that we are working in this prototype is to work also with documents. Okay, for example, I can import here, or I can copy. Okay, this is a case law coming from the Cour de Cassation in Paris. Okay, so here what I can also do, it's okay. Okay, sorry. Okay, just one last minute. So, okay, I can start working with documents, providing me the arguments of this case law document. It's not going to be just a summary, because it's also checking the arguments and providing me the original references of the reasoning of that court. Again, you will see here that there are the references to the Lefebvre documents, and also what I can do here. Just the final example is even to work with contracts. For example, okay, I have uploaded here a contract, okay, a working contract. So what I'm gonna do here, for example, is okay, just check this contract for me. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is to read the document and analyze it, again, comparing or checking this contract against our documents. So we are going to identify if there is any legal mistake in this contract that, okay, we included some wrong paragraphs. So that's what we are doing in this different products. So as you can see, we are working in legal research features, including new ways to work with legal databases, but also start working with a completely different kind of products. So that's all. Okay.
Thank you, Manuel. Well, I actually seize the opportunity to say that Lefebvre is organizing a hackathon in October, 18, 19, 20 of October. And Legal Hackers is supporting them in organizing this in Italy, Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, France, Spain.
I think that's all.
I think that's it.
That's all.
So if you're from these countries and I haven't reached out to you yet for support, help, or whatever, just let us know during the weekend. And yes, that's the kind of things in Legal Hackers we like seeing happening. So thank you very much, Manu.
Thank you.
You can either stay or leave, just what you want. And now James Peters is going to...
Okay, you've got a presentation.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Y si podemos cambiar a la otra presentación que está ya metida. You need to push on the, to press the talking button.
This one.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. Now I can hear myself. I'm James Peters. I am the head of legal innovation for a company called LegalZoom in the United States. Just out of curiosity for context setting, how many people here are familiar with LegalZoom as a company? Okay, a fair number. For those who aren't, we are an online legal services direct-to-consumer company in the US. We are publicly traded and are fairly sizable. We had revenues last year of $620 million. So we do a fair amount of work in this space. And that is me. I need to pull up mine here. There we go. Okay. And I'll start out on this one. One other little survey question. Who here knows the gentleman on this slide? Probably not a lot of people. Okay, that's Steve McQueen. Yeah, so we'll come back to that in a little bit, but an actor who's somewhat famous for his ability to very naturally, coolly play roles. So keep that in mind as we go into it. I'll start with my caveat first. I'm not an expert in generative AI at all. I had legal innovation and I'm learning about generative AI as we work on things. So counter to some of the other folks here, I'm really hoping to start a conversation with this, to hear from other people their ideas on it, because that's I'm a fan of legal hackers also, not a chapter head. And I'd like to come to these events because they tend to get me sort of regenerated in terms of thinking and ability to approach problems, things like that. So I'm really just here to utilize all of you to the best of my ability. My other caveat here, by the time we're done talking about this, whatever I've got in this deck is probably outdated. So I think we're all familiar with a lot of the issues around generative AI. So you've got issues around things like bias, hallucinations, the AI drift. So the more people use it, the worse it gets. Kind of a quirky feature of using external AI tools. But we do think it has really good potential still for working with attorneys. So this is from our public earnings call last quarter at LegalZoom. And it just sort of gives our approach to generative AI for legal in a nutshell here, which is in our point of view is we're not looking to replace lawyers with generative AI. We are looking to co-pilot basically. So like the material that you just saw up on the screen, it's got great potential to make lawyers much more efficient than they currently are. So as we work toward that, there's a quote from Steve McQueen as an actor. So he has this sort of aura about him where he makes it look really easy. There's an interview with him where he has this quote and he says, well, how do you do it? I work very hard to make it look easy. From my experience so far with generative AI, this is a great summary for the work that has to go into it to make the sorts of examples like you just saw look easy. There's a ton that goes into it. So I think you were saying that yours is all built on internal data, right? So that is a move that happened fairly quickly, I think, where people went from building off of public platforms to saying, oh, this is not a great experience. We're getting a lot of misinformation here. So all these folks are starting to build their own custom tools. Now, building custom tools, not easy. I don't know how many people in here are on the real technical side of things. How many people are developers in here or engineers? Okay, a fair number. So a lot of people here who probably have a very real sense of how hard this work can be. But on the legal side, it's also tough. So there's this concept, well, not a concept. Is everyone here familiar with the Mechanical Turk? So Mechanical Turk was this automated chess system from back in the day. But as it turned out, it actually wasn't automated at all. There was a person in the box who was formulating what moves to make. So there's a lot of work sort of behind the scenes in AI from my perspective. And this little thing up here is just an example of the very sort of almost analog way that we're handling quality control today in terms of building our own generative AI products. So that is a review sheet that we use. We've got a generative AI tool that we're working on. What I have found is 9 times out of 10, you might be really surprised at how amazingly well generative AI handles a problem. And then that 10th time, you'll wonder what on earth it thinks it's coming up with. It just makes no sense at all as an answer, and it's just abjectly wrong. So we've got at this stage just lawyers, several lawyers spending probably hundreds of hours running documents through this tool and just logging issues. Our developers take that response feedback and go in and try to work with the tool to get it better. This is from what I can tell so far, likely a never-ending process. I think there's a hope that at some point you fine-tune your generative AI tools well enough that you no longer have to be doing this high-level sort of manual human input to get the easy results for your customers. But this was one of those issues where I thought, in a room full of experts, there may be people who have, better or different or interesting ideas around this piece of the puzzle. What I've seen so far is to build a nice tool that gives an easy presentation for customers to understand the legal document. You likely have many hundreds of hours of actual attorneys giving feedback on building a tool to actually make it work. Now, that's not something that a lot of people have the resources for. So if you're a true startup, let's say you're a 1 or 2 person shop trying to do something interesting here, not sure how you make that happen. We happen to have a fairly sizable company, good number of lawyers in it, probably the same on your end. And it makes it a lot easier if I can say, let me pull 5 members of our legal team to just do this for a stretch. If you're in a more of a true legal hacking type environment, how do you handle those requirements? Is it trying to source through the public, et cetera? So really, from my perspective, I wanted to present this more as a conversation starter. I don't have answers on this front. This is my answer right now. So it's lots of manual labor and lots of circling back through development teams. That's really all I have. So I'll be quick.
Thank you, James. I guess some people might want to keep this conversation. Does anyone want to? Okay. There is a hand microphone there. If you can. That's true. Does it work?
Hello? Okay. Hi. My name is Mark. I'm a software developer, and I completely understand the issue with how when you use generative AI, you never know whether what they're saying makes sense or not, which is why I think your tool is quite useful, because it references where the information is coming from to kind of validate that what you're doing is what it's supposed to do. Regarding your question, which was about how you can avoid having all of your legal team using the AI and seeing where the flaws are, I think there's the idea of trying to either know where it sources the data from, or also the idea of using another AI whose job is just to double check the answers of your first AI, but then you have the issue of now you've got to make 2 AIs instead of having to make 1.
I think that's an interesting one that has come up internally as well. And then you think, well, who's going to check that one, right?
Right.
So, is it a never-ending cycle of checking each other out? Which maybe you can build just enough of a recycle through where you can kind of trust it. There's an interesting thing on the sort of data that you're pulling from is there are still sort of limitations to the LLM tools out there where I can have an AI tool running off of just a set of contracts that I've uploaded into it. And it can still misinterpret things because legal writing is somewhat formulaic, but it's not always the exact same. An interesting issue that we've actually had is if you look at a whole set of documents that are drafted sort of the way you view a traditional contract looking. So it's got your parties, an introduction, all the clauses like normal. It does pretty well. Then if you throw in, so there might be some people here who are going, I think next week, to the Legal Design Summit. You throw in a document done in more of a legal design format, and it doesn't know what to do with a lot of it. So it gets used to a pattern. And when you throw something different at it, it tries its best to read and react to it, but it actually doesn't do nearly as well. So sort of an interesting thing, you take a nicely designed document and run it through a tool that's quite good at reading contracts, and the design makes it worse. Just an observation.
Yeah, it's true even for contract automation, and I mean legal design contracts are still complicated for machine in general, I would say.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, we see that the AI, I really like the function, the plain language function that you had. That's, yeah, from a legal design perspective, that's really good news to see that the AI is able to simplify language and take the legalese out of the way. Yes.
Hello. Very good. Hi, I'm Larry from Hamburg. I have two questions, and the first is geared towards the people at Lefebvre. If I understand it correctly, you have sort of you have a tool that retrieves your documents to pass as context to GPT. And so this system first needs to identify the documents that are sort of pertinent to the query at hand. Can you go into some more detail on how that works and how that identifies the correct documents? And the second question is probably for both of you, but also probably more for the people at Lefebvre, because you have a different incentive structure, and the people at LegalZoom, you do directly to consumer. Have you given any sort of thought to pricing and how to market this tool and how to sort of bring it into the marketplace? Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So regarding the first question, yeah, what we are doing is that we are using like a hybrid implementation of Gen AI. So first of all, we are using GPT in two different steps. First of all, well, that also depends on the different products and so on, but mainly the query provided from the user, we send the query to GPT to convert it in a better query. After that, we take that query and we run that query with our own search engine. That's really one of the trickiest part, because we are, for example, when we and after that, with the results coming from the search engine, we send those results again to GPT to create and to generate those answers. But one of the trickiest things, as I was saying, is that, for example, when talking about a case law, we are not sending to GPT the full 10 pages case law, because, okay, one document we will talk about a lot of different topics, but maybe in that huge document, that's huge case law, there is only just one paragraph that is really related to the query coming from the user. So that's the only paragraph we are sending to GPT, just to avoid some I mean, yeah, kind of hallucinations in terms of creating a new answer that is not really related to the topic. So at the end, one of the most important things in the developments that we are doing are not really related with GPT directly. It's more related with in terms of quality, I mean, and it's more related with the search engine that we are using, that is also in-house development coming from. It's not only the technical part coming from the search engine. Also, it's very related with the way the documents are structured. Okay, so at the end, I think that's probably the most important part when talking about the quality of the answers. Okay. And about the second one related to I think it was related to the price model and so on. Yeah, we will be okay. I don't know if you want to say something. Sorry, to the first question. So yeah. Okay, and related. Yeah, we've been honestly we are going to the Spanish. I mean, the first product that you've seen, we are going to launch into the market in a couple of weeks. We already have a commercial offer, but honestly, it's gonna be under testing. I mean, it's gonna be okay. Yeah, if we want to go to the market, we need to have a commercial offer. But we really know in our company that probably the offer will change by the end of the year, because it's completely something new, and we really need to know which is the value that the customer really perceives in these products. What's really the real added value? Until now, we have made some market research with a lot of customers. They really love it. But okay, yeah, when you present when you go for those kind of demo, every every kind is sometimes really, really kind and so on. But then when they have to pay for it, okay, that's completely different. And I know what we will be testing in the real scenario, just to really see how it works. This first product, it's going to be, in terms of commercial approach, it's going to be a bit different. It's going to be also related with the legal database product. So it's going to be like a module. So you will need to have a legal database module. But the other products that we are also thinking, as the second one that you have seen, yeah, we are also thinking to have isolated products. So, okay, you can have a pilot, a drafting tool, or a contract review assistant, and so on.
Yeah, a quick comment on the sort of marketability. I think my guess is, for most people who are direct to consumer, is that these tools come into play mostly as an acquisition tool. So it's a way to get a potential customer engaged with your offerings and then bring them in as a customer. And then it's also more of a cost management tool. So it's internally, it's just an efficiency tool. Allows you to offer things you might not have been able to offer at a reasonable price to customers in the past.
Thank you.
Someone else wants to either build on this topic, or I know that some debates regarding, we've seen there that some people are willing to discuss AI in judge and AI governance, I guess, in some parts. Does anyone want to talk about that? Yeah.
Hello. Okay. I think that because the real change in AI has been when these large language models have become public to everyone. And this year, the vast majority of companies are basically grabbing the same GPT, packaging it up in some sort of way where they'll change your queries to something that actually gives usable results, and then sell it for a higher price than what you pay for subscribing to GPT. But I wonder, apart from using these AIs to synthesize information, whether it's in just a huge amount of laws that there are, or your contracts database, where there's something we can use AI for that's more than just the ability to search information more easily. So I would like to pose the question to everyone here of how you could use AI for more than just synthesizing information. And yeah, I guess that's my question. Yeah.
I can give what I think is a somewhat on topic example. Excuse me. So in the US, we have a lot of concerns for direct to consumer about unauthorized practice of law. There's an interest, so similar to your mention earlier of utilizing AI to sort of quality check AI. There's this concept with direct to consumer stuff for us where there's a compliance role that AI might be able to play. So you can be generating content for customers, and the AI basically checks it to see if it's at risk of being classified as unauthorized practice of law. So it's almost like an internal compliance function that the tool is doing for you. And it's trying to read what your output is to say, is this something you actually don't want to put out there? That's just one that's, it's not completely unique, I guess, but it's a little bit of a different angle on how to utilize it. Does anyone else out there have any? It is a lot of sort of cool versions of the same thing right now, which is not necessarily a bad thing by any means.
Yeah, I think going back to Lefebvre's demo, I think the important part is the data that you bring to the table. So I mean, the API is the same for all of us, but if you have a large database of high quality legal materials that you can use that you can sort of accurately query and serve as context, then that is the moat that you have. That is sort of the product that you sell to the people. But that, well, you can use GPT, but you can also add to it sort of certified good data that can make the output actually usable and where it can give its sources. I think that's sort of the direction we're. Mike Bomarito, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sort of imagining that AI can be used sort of like, and I'm sorry for the reference if it's wrong, like Mr. Spock in Star Trek, yeah, taking the human out of the sort of like looking at objective data kind of use case where you, and I'm imagining this also, there is a practical application in law and then in my service, and I do it a lot with my clients because people tend to sort of be very reactive and emotional when there is a conflict. And I'm imagining that this tool or any kind of generative AI can be used to sort of like basically ask it the question, this is the email I got, this is what I want to send, but my objective is, and then you actually write what you want out of it, and for the AI to guide you what you should respond, sort of taking the emotion out of it. But I don't know whether we have already broken AI with our emotions in what we have taught it. Can it be untaught to not use emotion when analyzing data?
That's an interesting question. Actually, can I ask you 2 follow-up questions on yours?
Wow.
One, do you think that people would be more willing to listen to an AI tool than to like their friends, right? So you ask a friend about an email that you're going to send, and a lot of times you're like, yeah, you don't get what I'm trying to say. So I'm just going to go back to what I was going to do in the first place. But if you're asking a language tool, you might just trust it because it's objective, right?
It's sort of the Mr. Spock example.
Yeah.
You believe him,
Right.
you know, he seems so smart.
I think that's the amazing thing about people interacting with these tools, right? Like you get people who, I have a friend who is building a website and he was using entirely generative AI sort of models to build it out. And he's showing me this stuff. He's like, can you believe this? It's amazing. It's so smart. And I'm like, well, try doing this with it and see if you're happy, like when you really look into it. And he's like, oh, this is early on. He's like, I didn't really catch that this is totally inaccurate, right? It gave me this huge, beautiful write-up, but it actually has no connection to reality whatsoever. But there's something about the technology where people just see it spit this out and they are like, wow, you're so smart. Thank you for your wisdom, without asking any real questions on it. I heard an interesting example of, so on the topic of, can you train it out of the emotion? We've been talking internally about this concept of, if you build and train entirely from scratch, the model will only know how to do what you've taught it to do. So if you start over and you don't use the sort of public interaction and build, you can make it sort of however you want. The example I had heard was a company just sort of for fun experimenting, trained their own large language model entirely on limericks. So if you're not familiar with limericks, it's just a short form poem that's specific in the way it has to be written. And because they only trained it on that, that's the only way it could respond. And it didn't matter if you were asking for like directions to a restaurant or if you were asking for it to create a poem, it all came back just as a limerick. So it seems like there's a way to do it if you're willing to invest the time and resources to fully like create this thing from scratch, essentially. But if you go out to the public, everything's so messed up already that it's very hard, I think, we've worked on this concept of layering rules on top of to prevent those issues. But the great thing and bad thing about the generative AI stuff is that it's very crafty at getting around your rules. So you can try to tell it, don't do these things, but it will figure out ways to like backdoor in and do those things anyway. It's super interesting.
In a way, you're saying it's very manipulative, like humans.
It is, yeah. And it's also capable of being manipulated. So one of my first tasks in my role was to take something we were working on and see if I could basically break it. And it's not that hard to break these things. You can sort of, as you input, you can get a sense of where it's trying to restrict itself in its answers. And you can like not all that slowly figure out a way to make it do stuff it's not supposed to do. So it's like, it's very mutual, the manipulation.
It's sort of like asking the question, the websites to avoid when you actually want to get to those. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a follow-up from that. I mean, in the academic community, there is a lot of conversations around responsible AI. And as you said, it's capable of being manipulated. And I think we have quite a lot of lawyers here. I would love to know your thoughts about the ethical AI concept. I don't know if it's a lot of hype. Different organizations are coming up with different standards. There is this EU law. I mean, where do we draw the line in terms of, the use of the right kind of AI for people, especially for masses? And my second question is about productivity of lawyers and, with tools like these being offered, I mean, what would it mean? And Richard Susskind has done a lot of work, but is it for real or are we getting scared for no reason? And if there is, there's a third question around like a lot of AI generated content teaching itself. What would we see in 5 years or 10 years? Like, where would it lead us if we continue to build on just the same kind of thought process?
I can start and other people can weigh in. So again, with no expertise and only observation in the area, I feel like if we keep building off of what we're on today, that the output of AI will degrade at a similar pace to like the content of Twitter, right? Or X, right? So like I used to love Twitter. The engagement was fantastic. I would encounter a lot of people who had interesting thoughts on interesting things. And I'm no longer on it because I couldn't make sense of what was getting dropped to me at all, right? It's just, I feel like you could see the same thing with that sort of gradual, the AI drift issues. And with so many people using it for so many odd things, if it is just building off of itself, it's going to get funky, I think. I think the questions, so do you want to talk on that one first?
Keep going.
The responsible AI one is interesting because with any new technology, there's a whole host of issues that you could choose to tackle, right? You hear people saying AI is environmentally damaging because of the computing power that it requires. AI has bias built into it and is like as even worse than the humans who add the discriminatory content to it because it builds off of it, basically. You've got people who are more concerned about the privacy implications because of like it's a lot of data, right? All these things coming together. So we very recently have a compliance group. So we have like a governing body internally to discuss these issues. how many people in here like work for a company or they themselves are on like an AI governing board? Anybody? Got one. Okay. So not a lot, but I think this is forming in a lot of companies now. And ours is a very cross-functional group. So we have engineers in it, we have business leaders in it, and we have lawyers in it. And it's really, right now, it feels necessary to just meet and talk about things because there's so much going on at one point, or that we can't set rules right now internally. So it's more of a discussion at this stage. And it's a tough one. Ours tend to be more on the data concerns because we're dealing with the public, direct to consumer, people uploading stuff and not wanting, like trying to help protect them from themselves in terms of like uploading stuff they shouldn't be uploading, things like that. Yeah.
Yes, unless you want to keep talking, maybe, because I see that the people are shy to come with you. So maybe we can either, other people can just come on stage. I know there is some people wanted to talk about the neuro rights. I was talking with Paloma before, so do you want to? Yeah, you can. You can, and I think it kind of goes.
Sí, pero. Hello. Yeah, I have just a simple question. I'm
Go ahead
a
and take a seat
lawyer
anyway, Paloma.
specialized in technology. We are working in a company that develop legal software, so it is related to this area. And I have just a simple question that is, how can I use AI or generative AI to improve, for example, compliance risk analysis software, as you mentioned before? Do you have any ideas or examples on how can I use an AI to improve my tool in compliance risk area?
Yeah. For example, this is and also related to a previous question. We are also thinking about, I mean, also as publishers, we not only provide legal contents and so on, we also have software tools as compliance tools, case management tools for notaries and so on. And also we are thinking about how to include Gen AI in those kind of software tools. But also what we are seeing is that one of the most important values that we can provide it's to create those integrations into the software, but also based on legal content. That's what from our side it's gonna make the difference in terms that and what we have seen with the products and the tests that we have done with customers, that it's very important that the answers and the solutions you provide, and when checking a contract or when providing a checklist for a compliance tools, that the documents where you are creating that answers are let's say known contents. I mean, so you really know where they come, you really make sure that they are updated. So that's really what we can, or from our point of view, and also from the users that I've been talking to, that's really what can make a huge difference, that especially when providing legal advices and so on. Okay.
The last one, sorry.
Sure.
Do you think like predictive analysis have a space in compliance area?
Yes, and that's we are thinking also not only for compliance. Also, we are thinking about specific or more deeply features related with case law, with jurisprudence, especially in that way to have some kind of predictive. Because what we have seen also is that, yeah, with Gen AI we can, and we are also using in our company not only to create products, also internally to provide some internal tools to analyze documents, to analyze contents. Actually, we are already doing. And also what we are seeing is that with Gen AI, we can really go deeper in terms of what information we can extract and then use another kind of algorithms to analyze that information. But that's really one of the ways that we'll keep working on, for sure.
Just add one point to that one, which is, I think that at some point, and it's not too far off, people will need to start asking themselves, as they say, how can I use generative AI to do this? Maybe ask why you want to use generative AI to do it. It's not always a necessary or even best tool, but from a compliance point of view, the really unique thing about generative AI is its ability to understand language. So for compliance issues that require kind of understanding the rule set that you're working with and understanding whether the output complies with that or doesn't, it's got an interesting potential set of capabilities there. But a lot of compliance work can easily be done with more like straight,
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much to both. Dale, ahí. Okay, so go ahead. Let's discuss neuro rights.
Thank you very much indeed, Laura. Thank you to all of you for being here in a Saturday morning when we rather be in I don't know, having a caña or whatever else you can think about. Well, I've been proposing 3 different subjects. One of the neuro rights, and the other one are life as a service, and can Elon regulate the space? And they seem quite unrelated, but I think there is an underlying preoccupation and subject in these 3 questions, and I try to put it in a short way, taking into account of we've got 10 minutes to make this presentation. So the question is, we are here because we expect to hack the law. We expect to hack the law in order to protect the human rights vis-a-vis the attack, and let me say attack between brackets, of technology. But the reality is the technology has hacked us as lawyers. We either use technology as a tool to provide services, to help our clients, or to help ourselves, or we use technology as final users as such, because we don't have in reality any new tools to resist technology. For example, let's think about artificial intelligence, for example. We, at the end of the day, are receiving services provided by a company that is in the US, subject to the US law, and we are agreeing with them with a contract. Where the hell are we hacking the law there? I mean, it's a more common thing to do, to sign a contract. A contract, by the way, there is a term and condition we cannot change. We cannot enforce in our own jurisdiction. And then we are taking that technology as such. So, sorry for being so bold, but here we are to hack the law. And I don't see any hacking at all in the latest years. Why is that? Because we fundamentally have a problem. And the problem is the national sovereignty. The different countries regulate their own services. And we cannot battle that. And we haven't hacked the law enough to find a way to do it. So maybe we have to keep hacking harder that we are doing that. So this brings me, the life as a service, for example, is because of one news I read yesterday concerning BWB, the car producer. This company is supposed, is now trying to charge you for heat your car during winter. I mean, you pay the car and then you have to pay for the service for heating, which is completely, insane. Where is the law there? Because at the end of the day, you buy a car with a term and condition that you, they are charging you for essential services that should be included in this, when you buy the car. And concerning my latest question, can Elon, my dearest Elon Musk, regulate space? It's because of the today's new concerning the interference of a private company into a war, the Ukrainian war. Elon decided not to connect some submarine drones from the Ukrainian army in order to avoid an escalation of the war. And I have to admit, I don't have an opinion on that. I don't have an opinion on whether he behaved in the correct way or not, whether he coordinated himself with Pentagon or not. But the question is, a private company is taking decisions, connectivity decision on a war. And I suppose this is based on some kind of contract, which is one of the oldest way to regulate the world. We've got two ways to regulate the world: through law, through contract, and through some standardization, and that's it. And as far as I recall, we haven't hacked the law yet as lawyer. So the question now is, we are now facing what's for us. And let me introduce you to Maite. Maite Saz de Galdeano. She's one of the most knowledgeable person in the world concerning neural rights. Unfortunately, she's so shy. She doesn't feel comfortable speaking in English. So I don't know whether you mind if she could address some words after me in Spanish. I'll try to translate to those not speaking English. But the question now is, we are not allowing these neural devices that connect a machine to a brain of a human being. And this sounds like crazy. This sounds like, for example, what about the right to not declare against myself in a criminal court? I'm going to be obliged to put one of that devices on my head to demonstrate that I'm innocent, not guilty. I'm obliged to put one of that devices on my head if I want to have a job, just to demonstrate that my feeling, my thoughts are correct or are conveniently aligned with those of the company. That's questions that are very much affecting people. Are we going to use this to enhance thinking or to help ill people to overcome their illness? Are we changing the identity of the people through that? Are we creating two type of societies? The enhanced one with money enough to pay for the new services. That's why it's connected with life as a service. You could be smarter if you pay for it, and you could pay for that specific service if you are willing to do that, and of course if you've got the money. And all of that is based on companies on the US, subject to the US regulation. And no one is doing absolutely nothing to stop this. There are a general approach of people trying to draft 5 different neural rights that I don't remember that why Maite, she knows them by heart. And then there is a Chilean ruling from the Supreme Court concerning these devices. And they are trying to limit these devices to the only way, to the only use cases that are completely beneficial, in my view. There are those of illness on the area of health. I mean, imagine these neuro devices using in the gaming sector, but I mean, there's nothing that has stopped this to happen. The moment we allow anyone to have devices that are so attempting against the human rights, that anyone is using, not knowing what they are using, we lost the battle, absolutely. And now we have the opportunity to regulate these devices, because the best data is the data that is not gathered. So we have to think about that. We have to think about the moment we collect neuro data, we lost the control of the data. We have to be very clear about that. No regulation in the world is going to control this. So the best way is not to collect those data. So to limit the collection of those data to those areas. Health, unfortunately, the army is collecting data. And you have to know that the BRAIN project promoted by Obama is absolutely a defense program that is paid by the Defense Department of US. So we have to be very clear about that. So even if we have to admit that use, we have to be very clear that we have now the opportunity that the regulation hack the technology, limiting the authorization of the neuro devices to very specific cases through an international agreement, not through national regulation, because this is going to be again and again exactly the same situation. So this is what is underlying this question. That is absolutely the same question again: how we regulate, how we make possible to enforce human rights now with the technology. And the reality is we are not able to do that. Absolutely not. And then as a lawyer, as a technician, as a, I don't know, activist, I put this on the table because I think it's an existential threat. If we allow these devices to be publicly to sell as any other good, I mean, I think we are losing absolutely control of our lives. So that's so important, this case. Sorry for taking too much time explaining the issue, and sorry for criticizing myself and criticizing the whole society for doing nothing. But I think we have to be bold now, and now we have the opportunity, the unique opportunity to make the things change. And now is the time. Maybe in 1 year time would be late. So maybe I don't know if you want to introduce the 5. Si quieres contarnos un poco sobre los 5 neuroderechos.
Well, I'm going to try to talk in English, but
fantastic.
My English is so horrible that I don't feel very comfortable. In fact, I wanted to talk about the sentencia, the ruling from this August in Chile. La Corte Suprema de Chile has ruled a very important ruling, because it's about one of these neurotechnologies. The case, I'm going to talk about this because we can talk about generation, but this is the first ruling about the issue, and it's very important for all the community, the international community. No, the fact is, it's not a common person who puso la demanda, who sued, because he's one of the senators who starts the neuro rights law in Chile. Okay, it's not anyone, but this man bought a neurotechnology device not invasive, and which register the data. Okay, it's one kind of this kind of technologies. And of course, because all these devices are more or less the same, this is a problem for all this kind of the device. One of the problems is if you don't buy the premium application app, you don't have access to your own data. You must pay to have access to your own data, first. Second, in the terms and conditions, not in the privacy policy, in the terms and conditions, you give una licencia, a license permanent and irrevocable. License for a lot of different uses, tratamientos de datos, data, and one of those are the data will go to be used by fines científicos, scientific purpose research, without the possibility to consent. Okay, and I said, if the dispositive has been sold as non-medical device, the data also must be used by non-medical purposes. So which kind of research are going to be made with this data? If it's not for medical ending purposes, ¿qué van a hacer? ¿No? No se puede utilizar ese tipo de datos que se han recabado en esos dispositivos para usos no médicos para unas research científicos que no son médicos, sin nuestro consentimiento. I'm sorry for my Spanglish, but I'm so passionate.
I think you made it perfectly clear.
So, the question is, la Corte Suprema has not asked for the question that made el demandante, which were most of them about the privacy policies and everything. And the court give the balloon to the
administration, to the regulator.
But de la sanitaria.
To the health regulator.
Yes, so equipara
The same position, yeah.
This kind of dispositive to a medical dispositive. Because if the sanitary authority must to control, is like if it will be a medical dispositive, no? And now the sanitary authority is going to have a big problem because, first of all, the neurodata is not regulated. With what is a neurodata? Is a sensitive data? If it's a sensitive data, the limitation for the processes del tratamiento es muchísimo más estricto, ¿no? And also, if it's not going to be, si no pasa por los controles sanitarios de los dispositivos, if it's not going to be under the medical regulations, then we need to revisar, review all the regulations about, first of all, privacy, consumers, because it's going to be under the consumers regulations and security of products, because all of these regulations have been done without, sin tener en cuenta este tipo de riesgos. So I'm going to finish because it's horrible to talk like that. Sorry. Now,
thoughts, food for concern. Okay.
My name is Manuel. I'm very happy to know about the system. Worried about the.
We are happy to exist.
But I'm afraid I have to tell you that are not 100%. You're not 100% informed about the subject of mind control by technology. Elon Musk is not very, inventive, because the beginning was with Jose Maria Rodriguez Delgado trying to stop a bull running with something similar, an implant outside his brain. But happens that the action of electrodes inside the brain can be substituted by radio frequencies. I mean, I can control you using radio. And many of people like me and others around the world, we are victims of electronic harassment. There is an European organization which is called EU CATS, that is run by Peter Mooring, that organize from time to time international meetings. I take part in two, one in Brussels, another one in Berlin. And that European Parliament was hypocritical in the year 2000 when they reject to put legal forbidden to use that technology in Europe, because they say they want to reach an international agreement. Russia made in 2000 new law. Maybe this law is, at least it's a law. I don't know if it's put in practice, it's enforced all the time, but there was one guy whose name is Vladimir Nikolaevich Lopatin that I met in person in 2018 in Moscow, because he know about me and he know about the problems in Spain. And this guy was the person that fostered that legislation in Russia. Russia has a legal forbidden for this technology. And I would like to explain many things about the technologies. They can see for your eyes, they can talk to your head, they know everything, they can know everything about you, what you think. Nowadays, this happens. And it's an effort that took place in the Second World War II with Mengele, because Nazis never were defeated. Nazis has been in any way or another in one country or another. They are doing the same all the time. And this technology had been developing hidden and put in practice. And I could tell many things about this, but
we're short of time. I'm sorry.
I feel happy to meet you, but I feel you are a little bit naive because you don't know what is happening with these technologies. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed for your mansplaining, calling us naive. I was expecting that sooner or later. And of course, we are talking about the different national agencies, the capability of the CIA to read your thoughts. We're talking about something more specific, more realistic. That is the possibility that these devices, these neuro devices, could become can be used by any one of us for example, as an interface with internet. I mean, as an interface with the artificial intelligence, or the very famous and finally died metaverse. So at the end of the day, we are talking about a kind of device that is going to be gamified by the different companies that already are collecting data I cannot imagine anyone putting a chip in the brain because of a health condition or because of I ask him to do that. But I can imagine very well that people put in a microchip in the brains to play a game of Fortnite or whatever. So this is the real risk. If we let these devices to be widely used by anyone in any situation, then those data we can control those data. That's why the regulation in neuro rights, these 5 rights that is being proposed by different groups internationally, even the United Nations are proposing this right. For me, it's surrendering, because it comes from the acceptance that those data can be collected in any situation. And for me, I'm not personally, and that's a completely personal opinion, I'm not going to discuss those rights until the devices are controlled. Because if you read those rights, the rights to control your own neural data, the right to control, I don't know, to control your own identity, come after a premise, that is, those data are collected. So let's limit the collection, the use, the end of those data to the minimum, and then regulate those rights in those specific areas. For example, health. Unfortunately, for agencies, international agencies are going to use it. I mean, I'm sorry because I'm not naive, you know, and I accept this happening in life. But I don't want. I rather not talk. I rather not talk about. rather not talk about people connecting to their Facebook accounts using these neuro devices. So I think this is a great opportunity, because this is a great community to spread the word and to work on this. I don't know, in the different levels we have access to, in order to make possible this limitation worldwide.
Thanks. Can I have just very short comments, because we also have a lot of topics to discuss.
Can I
after.
say something quickly? First of all, thank you for existing, because it's
Again.
important for people to worry about things. I think there's an issue with how regulation tries to impose things on technology, and it's over history. I think things that people have come up with, they have never ceased to exist. So I think trying to limit what people do is practically impossible. I think there's a transition happening where we see law, we create a law and trying to make everyone abide by it. And the law is a code, but I think there's being a transition where from the law being code, the code is going to be law. So I think technology is able to move so quickly that it's practically impossible for regulations to actually do anything about it. I think nowadays, for example, the data protection laws, they've helped a lot, yet we still give away all of our data because it's too late. Google already has everything about us, and we don't really do anything about it.
So let's go for a coffee, because I mean, I don't think we need any further discussion if we surrender so quickly. So, I have to,
yeah.
Again, I'm naive if you want, but you know, I would like to have a clone of myself, but you know, it's forbidden. There is an international treaty forbidding the use of DNA and other techniques to clone myself. So I won't surrender with this technology, and I won't do it. And I would be grateful if you won't do it.
Absolutely.
Either.
Absolutely. What I think is,
But for example, in the case that I talk about, Corte Suprema de Chile, they have applied the precaution principle, el principio de precaución, because the Corte Suprema think here there are some risk that we are not
We cannot
conserve.
afford.
We don't know
Simply.
what is happening. So it's better to stop. It's better to stop. It's better to see, to analyze. And then once we know if our rights are guaranteed, then we will let them commercialize. So it doesn't happen. No pasa nada. If we say stop, we need to stop and then to see if our rights are guaranteed. So
Unless you want to
this-
live without rights, which
is-
is another option.
So my last comment is, I think unless regulators are able to propose or empower solutions that do things the right way, I think whoever's doing it already is going to take over anyways.
That's why we're here.
Well,
That's why we're provoking all these conversations.
I assume you are not going to help us to stop this because you think there's nothing. I mean, this is like the Star Trek. The resistance is futile, and then let's live without rights. I mean, I think we have a unique opportunity to regulate this in the national level and in the European level. And for sure, I'm naive enough to know that there would be countries where these technologies will be allowed, and when people will go to I don't know, to experience fantasies or to enhance their brains or whatever you want, we cannot limit that because we believe in national sovereignty. So that's something we have to assume. But at least we might provide a future to our children where their rights, their intimacy, their privacy is protected, and I think this is as important as protect them from the climate change. So if we do nothing, for sure, I mean the evil will prevail. That's for sure. So let's do something and see what happened.
Thank you very much. Interesting conversation. Will you really be quick? Really? Well, hold on. Before you say so, then we have Martinez who wants to talk. Yeah, Martinez will talk, and then we will have also the Katowice people who wanted to talk, right? 10 minutes, and we have Victoria also, and we will do all this, and then if we have time for more, and we have also Maria Victoria who wanted to discuss DMA. So we will have 10 minutes for each of your stuff, and then we will go back to whatever if we still have some time afterwards. Okay. Just if you want to close this conversation, 2 minutes.
Okay.
Are you?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for giving me the floor. I would like to start that say thank you to Paloma, to Maite for the very interesting presentation. But my name is Joaquin. I am work on data protection, and I would like to say that I am not agree with you when you say that there is no regulation for neurodata, because neurodata are personal data. And personal data is perfectly regulated in Europe. We have the GDPR. Maybe in US or maybe in Chile. The problem in Chile is one of the countries in America that doesn't exist a data protection law nowadays.
They
are in the way they have a draft law, but they have not approved yet.
I'll try to say, maybe not in a more fortunate way, is that I prefer not to talk about neuro data, because I have to assume that those data are already being collected. So my proposal is collect only in some use cases, very limited, and then we talk about neuro data. And when talking about those neuro data, for sure, the GDPR and other regulation in Europe and in California and in other parts of the world will enter, and will have something to say. But the idea is not to reach that situation, because as you know perfectly, because you are in data protection, it is very easy to regulate, but it's very complicated to enforce, because you don't have sometimes you don't have the economical means or the people to enforce that. So you enforce some cases, but not all of them. And sometimes it's difficult. So sometimes it's easier not to create the problem, to find a solution. Just what my proposal, and it's completely personal, is completely aligned with the Chilean ruling, is not to create the problem or to minimize the problem we create, minimizing the type of data, is collected, but I'm minimizing the type of operator that collect them.
Yeah, just to say, I think the GDPR must be modified to include specifically this kind of data in the Article 9, because it's not clear in which case are sensitive and in which case are not sensitive. For example,
It's sensitive data in any case.
in any case, but they are not treating like that in this dispositivo, en el dispositivo que estábamos, el device, sorry, they are not using as sensitive data.
The company is not fulfill the GDPR. If the company do that.
In any case, again, you must change the GDPR, but first of all, regulate the devices. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. ¿Podemos tener la presentación? Muchas gracias. I don't. Is it working? That's not making sense. Okay, you have 10 minutes. Hey. Please, can you, those willing to talk can do so outside, and those here?
Yeah.
We're going to start in 2 minutes. So if you want to either be in or out, but in quiet or out, not quiet. Not shouting because we hear them. Guys.
Looks like everybody's a bit tired.
Yeah.
And yeah, the topic will be a bit technical, so I'm a bit afraid that more lawyers can run away. All right.
Guys, you have 1 more minute to finish your talking, and then everyone quiet to listen to Martinez. And if you want, guys who are going to talk after, if you want to kind of come here after, well, this way Martinez is not alone there. Victoria, if you want, you can also have a seat, and this way nobody will. Yeah. And Maria Victoria too, you can come, and this way, yes. So everyone sitting here will have their time to talk.
Okay, so we can start here.
So you can start. I'm putting the time.
Right.
Go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, thank you.
Now, please.
Thank you to Laura for opportunity a little bit to share my views. I'm, let's say, 50-50 lawyer and, let's say, computer scientist. Originally, I'm coming from law domain. I was developing some tools, even reviewing and writing some code. Also, I spent a lot of years in academia, so this presentation will be maybe about the key points in which direction we have to move if we want that LLMs could be used for, let's say, legal services and more precise data we could have. So I don't know, are you familiar with Internet of Laws concept? Just already, so thank you. Those two guys which were presenting the reference where you can check why the LLM, extracted some information. So basically, it's about that you can point to the smallest part, let's say, of the law, because law in general is text. If we look to the law, and so if we could put the law accessible and with the address that you always can point to this piece of information, piece of text, then you can build like really very good tools on top of that. And like compliance, and especially when we have different jurisdictions. So now, let's say Tesla has developed like autonomous driving software, but if we move from one jurisdiction to another, maybe there are some differences. Yeah. Oh, I'm hacked. Yeah. All right. Okay. So
You can keep talking anyway.
Okay,
So
okay.
come back.
all right. Yeah. So anyway, so about, I hope we will see the slides, but okay. The viruses. Yeah. Not yet.
It's so brutal. The computer say, wow.
Yep. Yeah, maybe it's, yeah, we lost the power. Okay, some technical issues. Okay, because that presentation is about some showing information, because I wanted to show to the lawyers why we need to switch from docx format, in which basically lawyers write everything on Word in general and save information in docx. And I wanted to show you what we need to do first, and then we can enjoy our fruits from that decision.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Or I was going to say someone does not have a presentation.
Yeah, we can. Okay, so we can maybe pause.
Okay, so maybe we can just, in the meantime,
All right.
while that is being solved, maybe you can talk. Sorry, let's just do a brain separation and let's jump to Maria Victoria's topic, and then we'll be back.
Okay.
to
I will
Martinez.
be very concise, so I hope I won't steal time to you. Hi, good morning to everyone. Very happy to be here. My name is Maria Victoria. I'm from the Legal Hackers Rome chapter, together with my friends Claudia and Massimiliano. Okay, so if you want to move forward, please.
Gracias, Oscar.
I was concise.
Thank you. Thank you for helping with that technical issue. So in general, how transformation of law is happening now. So we had, let's say, lawyers readable law, and we need only like be educated to read law and to be lawyers, to understand. Of course, now it is changing, but there are some steps if we want to move to, let's say, law which is more designed for non-lawyers, let's say, to understand. So first step, we need to, we will do this with the help of machine. It's funny, that legal stuff. To make understandable for human, we need a lawyer who can explain to, let's say, non-lawyer or machine. So machine is, let's say, at this moment a bit cheaper, and probably it will become more efficient. I don't know, but with the help of lawyer, we can actually design law more understandable for humans. So first step, we need to move to machine readable, let's say, text. So there are already some Accomantoso, I don't know, maybe you have heard legal XML formats. Actually, it was Accomantoso even funded also by Microsoft, because actually Microsoft DocX had to be like international format for XML, but it doesn't work well. And then when we put that information to machine readable format, on the top we can fill a lot of more information. So information about information, data about data, which is very important for lawyers, because in this case, if we build like a very well knowledge systems, then we can avoid those problems when, like say, for example, LLM, like 9 times it provides like very well answer, and the last one could be not very good, let's say. Yeah. So in this like supervised and maybe developed by 50-50 like humans and machines technology, we can then later move to technologies which is more designed for just use cases. Just you can get like notification that you can you have to extend your contract or whatever, and things like that. So everything could be done after we move to this direction. So, but to do that, it is important to make to agree on certain things, and it's called like interoperability. So it means that we have to agree that you and me, we understand the same things in the same way. It's like math. Yeah, when the standard 2 + 2 is 4, let's say, for most of the people, yeah. So this is also about that. So we have to agree on like legal, organization, semantic, and technical things. But I wanna just to focus, because I throw away a lot of slides to be in 10 minutes, a bit more on semantic and technical stuff. So, but basically from that part only to the format, and I will show you. Maybe I don't put like too much technical details because there are like a lot of lawyers here, but why I will want to demonstrate why DocX is not very good format for the machines. So if you put DocX file and you rename to zip, you can open that file and you will see that it's like a catalog system with a lot of files, and they are XMLs basically, so which is good in theory, but the problem is how Microsoft made that XML. So some information is I just took that information from Lithuanian laws, so already you can find that some very well structured information, how was modified that information, who was the author, the time. So some information could be very easily extracted by machine, and like for 100%, it will be understandable that that person was modifying the document, for example. But when we go deeper to the text, for example, of law, so there are problems that in the middle of sentence, let's say when you was writing that bill, you just, I don't know, or change the language, or you just turn off computer or just program and turn on again. And the Microsoft, they put in the middle of sentence some extra information. And let's say for the lawyers, imagine that it's you want to get like this exactly sentence, but it's cut by the machine, and already the machine understands that it could be like different parts of the sentence. So what does for the machines to find that information correct, we need like very structured format for the machines. So here is, for example, a Komantozo format. In Lithuania, we have developed its version. So it's a bill of legislation, and you can see that it's very structured. It is maybe similar to HTML, if you know it. So XML is like very easy to read format, even for lawyers. And you have not to be afraid of some like extra information which is in blue or red. Everything is understandable. It's not so complicated as it could be for lawyers. And there you can see that, for example, you can find out the smallest part of the bill structured, and if you want to ask for concrete piece, you easily can point to that piece. And that piece has, let's say, an address, and immediately you can point to that exactly piece. And also you can add like some extra information on the top. You can say that it's a keyword which we will use in other laws, and we will put that keyword to the keyword bank, like, let's say, for example. So you, even when you write the law, you can use some semantics, some tools, extra tools, to extend the meaning of the text, more understandable, let's say, actionable for machine. Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Very good, Martina.
Could you just turn off the latest slide? Yeah. So, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Actually.
Agree.
Yeah. So, yeah, I like that slide because actually the biggest problems, they come from, of course, from lawyers, from our community. And why is that? Because, for example, we have analyzed how many words, different words, is used, let's say, in case law. So we have found that, for example, in Lithuania, lawyers use only 8% of words of the language. So imagine a very small amount of words, and when you want to use it in technology, so it's too much the same. So that's the problem. And that's why, let's say, the domain is not like very well blooming in that position. So thanks a lot again.
Thank you very much, Martina. Thank you. Even if we would have comments, I'm sure there are questions, sorry, but we're going to proceed, even if it's kind of disconnected, but this way we're sure that everyone can talk. So Maria Victoria, go back to where you were starting.
Thank you so much. Yes, I promised to be concise, but maybe I was too much concise. So let me expand a little bit what I was willing to share with you. I was anticipating that I'm part of the Rome chapter, and thanks to this community, because the amazing thing of our community, I think, is that it can disclose a world of opportunities to us. And it's an added value to me, and I think to you all. I had the opportunity to co-author this book about the DSA and the DMA, which was edited in Italy, I think last week, if I'm not mistaken. And I co-authored the book also with Massimiliano and other legal hackers, and we tried to focus on the DSA and the DMA, so the Digital Services Act and the Digital Markets Act. I'm sure you're all aware of, and if not, please interrupt me. And the idea I wanted to share with you today is about how somehow the technology is hacking the law as a tool, is hacking the law as it is conceived and as it is used. I think the DMA is a very interesting case study of the magnitude of the impact the tech can have on the law. Let me be more specific. I think you all know something about the DMA. So this new regulation targeting the so-called gatekeepers, which are the very big tech companies, being sort of a bottleneck between the market and the users in the digital environment, identifying these gatekeepers and imposing specific obligations on the gatekeepers in terms of do's and don'ts. So obligation to do some stuff and not to do some stuff. What I found very interesting in this respect is that, in my opinion, the DMA is a perfect example of how law can blur the boundaries. Because the DMA is blurring the boundaries between private and public law, as we traditionally know it, is blurring the boundaries between regulators and entities which are regulated, is blurring the boundaries between pieces of legislation and administrative decisions, for example. Just to be more specific, the boundary, we all know the traditional distinction, we Europeans know the traditional distinction between public and private law. So public law mainly focusing on the power of public authorities and the interference the activity of public authorities can have with the private autonomy. With private law is more focusing on the interaction between private parties. Well, the DMA is mixing the two elements together because it sets forth specific public law obligations vis-à-vis the European Commission in terms of the new competition tool the Commission can enforce to address competition issues affecting digital markets. So it is typically a public law exercise, but at the same time, it is a private law exercise insofar as it imposes obligations to big tech, to gatekeepers, in terms of what you are forced to do when you, for example, negotiate an agreement with small and medium enterprises. So you have, for example, to allow interoperability, you are lock-in is banned, you have to allow data sharing, data portability. These are directly enforceable obligations that can be enforced vis-à-vis private parties. So in a single text, we have both private and public law obligations, which in my opinion is something very interesting because we are used to have separate pieces of legislation to regulate it. So the law is igniting a change in this respect, mixing very different elements in a single piece of legislation. Then blurring the line between a law and an administrative decision. This is really interesting to me since I focus on administrative law. We know that one of the main features of the law is that a law is general and abstract. So it means that in theory, it could address a potentially illimited number of cases. But if we study the impact assessment, that thousands of pages of impact assessment that were disclosed together with the first draft of the DMA, we see that the DMA looks more like an administrative decision because it targets specific subjects that were identified when the regulation was drafted. Not only it targets specific entities that were known since the beginning, so the big tech basically, but it targets their business model. And this is the typical approach of an administrative decision, not of a law. So once again, we are blurring boundaries between two legal tools. The boundary between who regulates and who is regulated, this is really important in our legal systems, because we are used to think about someone who regulates and someone who is regulated. Usually public powers regulate and private entities comply or should comply or would be supposed to comply anyway. In this case, we are in a situation where there is a regulator. There is the European Union issued a regulation and the EU Commission should enforce it. But at the same time, the gatekeepers who are addressed by the regulation are called to implement the regulation. So to enact it, because when you say you must allow interoperability, okay, this is a law prescription, fair enough. But how will it happen? Actually, we don't know. We will see. and the actions that will be taken by the gatekeepers will be a fundamental part of how these obligations will be structured. So this is very important to me. I mean, it's interesting. It's a very important shift. Another very interesting tool to me is that the nature of the DMA is hybrid, because it's both an antitrust piece of legislation and a regulatory piece of legislation. And if we look at it from a political point of view rather than from a legislative point of view, we see that this has become a sort of geopolitical tool, because in the impact assessments and the preparatory studies of the DMA, the Commission and the consultants were very clear. We need this piece of legislation because we need to protect European small and medium enterprises that account to something like 95% of our gross domestic product in European terms against the superpower of big tech. And to do this, antitrust tools, typical antitrust tools, mutuated from antitrust cases handled by the European Commission and by domestic antitrust commissions, were used. So to my knowledge, but please correct me if I'm wrong, it is the first time that an antitrust tool is used to protect the market rather than to open the market to an actual competition. So this is like a revolution from my perspective. So we don't know where antitrust ends and where regulatory begins. So, and I'm concluding, so I was very short. My reflection was about, look, this kind, and the very last element, the DMA is focusing on what is defined as facilities. In traditional markets, we are used to think about facilities like, for example, in the railway sector, a facility are the railways. In the electricity sector or in the gas sector, facility are pipelines, and it's quite straightforward. In the digital environment, we also have physical infrastructures, of course, because otherwise the internet could not work. But these are not addressed by the DMA, because from the perspective of the DMA, data and core platform services are infrastructures. So again, law is igniting a change where the meaning of the word infrastructure is changing, and is not referred to a physical infrastructure, but rather to a service. So my reflection is, wow, law is really hacking. Law is really hacked by tech, because tech is driving a very important change in how law is drafted, the purpose for which the law is used, and the meaning we give to the words we use on a daily basis. So this was just what I wanted to share with you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria Victoria. Thanks. Now, yes. Do you have some? Okay.
We also will try to be so quick.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe I will start if you will give us some time. We
10 minutes.
We both are from Katowice. We are, I think, the youngest chapter now of Legal Hackers. We started this year. We are doing our Legal Hackers chapter under the cyber science. This is the consortium of 3 universities in Silesian region in Poland: the University of Silesia, Technical University of Silesia, and Economic University in Katowice. Also, there's a 4th member of our consortium, and this is the Polish National Network Institute, very important member, because it's giving us a possibility to work on the national level. Okay, but what's most important thing, we hope that our Legal Hackers chapter will be like a router. So we'll have a possibility to, from our local network, take the information and then send the packages to the global community like you. Because our presentation today is like a call for action, because we both work in factory, because this is very popular work for lawyers in the Silesian region. I'm also an engineer, so yes, we are connecting both fields here. And we are doing a few stuffs that are giving us possibility to see how many new legislative things we are now dealing with in United European connected to cybersecurity. I'm very sure that we are the first one that we are talking about such a things, because security of information is a very important issue if we want to have a secure internet, global internet in the whole world. So let's start. Yeah, okay, some technical issue. Okay, a very short agenda, but I know that we have a limited time, so let's try to make it quicker. Next slide. Okay, we are both in two projects. The first project is about innovation in factories, and the second project is about using artificial intelligence in factories, also with digital twins. And we are now seeing, as lawyers working at these projects, that there is a lot of new regulation, also the regulations that are changing, and all these regulations are now creating a very new field of law in United European, and this is digital law. When we see that it's getting a very high impact, for example, in manufacturing field, because this is the field where we mostly work, especially in these two projects.
Yeah, and what we can say about this project is that we can see that there is a lack of awareness what is happening right now with our technical colleagues, because they are, doing something, and we are starting talking to them. Did you think about the legal aspects of that what we are doing? Did you thought about it? Did you thought about, for example, how do you want to sell it? And I think that's where the problem begins, and it shows that lawyers are necessary in some parts of the projects, right? And we didn't thought about it, we didn't knew about it. Maybe we'll project something, prepare something, maybe we'll enforce something for us. And that's what we are doing in these projects.
Okay, next slide, please. Thank you. So also the engineers was very important, seeing the importance of the new regulation. Yes, for example, this is from international conference, the first side, AI must be regulated. So yes, they want to regulate, for example, artificial intelligence. What's more, on a United European level, we see that we need also to deal with the problem of cybersecurity. So also we need here regulation. That's also very important. For example, the NISA is also when they catalog the law of cybersecurity, they are also putting their AI Act. So it's also very important to see here how many work we as lawyers have to build a secure community, not only in the United European, because in other countries also we see that they are trying to prepare some regulation. Also, for example, United States, you see there are also preparing some regulation on federal, on state level. So yes, there's going a lot of work, a lot of things are changing.
Yes, and what I think we can add is the question if it's not too much, right? Because we are looking at so many acts, so many new acts, so many new initiatives, so many, I would say, experimental projects, right? For example, Data Act, the things in DMA, DSA, and so on, and artificial intelligence acts. We still don't know if it will act how we're supposed to do, right? And it's some kind of experiment. It's something that we don't know for now. We are doing it the first in the world, actually, a lot of things in European Union. So we'll try and we'll see how it will go, right?
So that's why I said that we are trying to make some call of action. If you also are involved in cybersecurity issue, if you work in smart factories, if you work in innovation, let's call together, let's stick together, and we'll try to build some community to discuss these things. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. You were quick. Thanks. Okay, and now if you can start changing the slide, we have Victoria. Victoria is here representing Legal Hackers Ukraine. Legal Hackers in Ukraine has always been very active. They have hosted many years ago a summit, the European Summit. So we're really happy to have her, and Victoria is going to tell her about a legal tech being built with Legal Hackers ethos, and I think she's going to call on some kind of contests. Yeah.
So it's an honor to speak here today. My name is Victoria. I am one of the board members of Kyiv Legal Hackers, and I would like here to talk about something that is familiar to each and everyone here: contracts. Yep. Thank you. May I start with asking you 3 questions? First of all, can you please raise your hand if you have ever signed the contract? Well, that's pretty obvious, man. Now, may you please raise your hand if you have drafted one as a lawyers? Okay, and the last one will be tricky. Have you ever signed the contract without fully reading it? Let's be honest on this one. Okay, I'll confess, me too. So that's why I brought this topic up. So we have this problem that the technology is changing the world rapidly, but the legal is kind of standing aside. And it still seems like people are carrying some kind of a science on the wooden tables that they don't really understand, neither lawyers nor the customers. So have you ever thought of how the contracts could look like, even if we hadn't got our minds limited of the structure that we have been taught in the law school? Could it be like a message in a telegram? Could it be a short one without 100 pages of a legal something that no one have ever thought what is it about? So that's only the one side. Let's get into what's inside. So first of all, there will not be more any abracadabra name. So what is a mandate? What is a power of attorney? Can you explain it to a 5-year-old kid? What is it about? If we just say it in few words, is to allow someone to do something. This is something that can 5-year-old kids understand. Now, contracts on a paper are dead contracts. You cannot manage them. You cannot see what is the status of the contract. Here, we totally change it. So on the second picture, you can see that you can check, have your counterparty signed the contract, when contract will expire. At the third picture, we can also fully enjoy our interactive contract. So if we press those words in frames, you can see explanation. Also, our main idea was to explain hard things as the 5-year-old kid would understand. If we click to the 3 dots, we could enjoy the actions. For example, you want your loan to be handed back in person. For example, you can add a custom term and adjust this point. You can also change the points of your contract without needed to call a lawyer like, hey, dear John, may you please send the contracts to our counterparty, changing the points. You can do it on your own, just on your smartphone. Also, your contract is interactive because of the questions. Here we gathered all the important ones that can arise when you are dealing with specific type of the contract. Let's look at the feature closer. So the contract now are drafted in a few minutes. You need simply to answer few questions to have your contract done. As for now, we have 9 contracts available, which includes NDA, mandates, loans, service, soft, safe, vesting, convertible note, and term sheet. As for now, no lawyers needed. You can change your contract on your own, you can receive the answers to your questions, and you can interact with your contract. And I guess the question that is bothering you throughout this presentation, is it legal? So it sounds like a fairy tale to every lawyer, but is it legal? First of all, I would like to point out that the former law firm has actually proven that it's legal. The Switzerland, Dubai, and the USA has conducted their paper, let's say so, proving that this product is fully legal. Also, we are kind of leaving this old perception of the contracts here. You can press the button here and access your PDF version of your contract, which you can bring to court. Last but not least, you can take a look of what is going on here in the world. Especially, we can take a look on the Canadian ruling. To be really short on this one, Canadian judge said that sums up is enough to say that a contract is conducted. And to finalize my presentation, I'm in time. I would say I would like to tell you a small story. So when I was kind of getting into this project, and I had this first call with the co-owner of the delegate, he told me a story of how he came up with the idea of such a project and how he is managing to make it real. To cut this story short, he summarized it to 2 points. Behind every big project, there are people who are working on this one. This brings us to the second point. Community is important. And here, sitting with the legal hackers community, with a lot of co-owners, lawyers, programists, I can say that only if we have beautiful community around, we have someone from legal hackers on your side, we can make groundbreaking things happen. That's why I would like to invite you to a competition, but let's call it more cooperation on making this product happen. You can scan a QR code that will bring you to the Notion, when you can find all the instruction, all the details to fully test this product and enjoy it for free. I will leave these QR codes on a slide. You can look at the delegate website and you can take a closer look on the Hack It Challenge. That will be all for now.
Thank you very much, Victoria. I don't know if those who wanted to take the QR codes have done so. Maybe we can leave it a bit longer. Now we have our youngest legal hacker member who just arrived. She actually was a legal hacker before being born, because Sarah, we organized events when Sarah was very pregnant. So she doesn't know, but she belongs here. Okay, so I think we might have, where's Mattia? Yeah, we might have short, no slides time. And that will be the end of it, as I just before you start. Yeah, okay, yes, if you want just, or yeah, no, stay so that he's not alone. Yeah, thanks, Martinez. No, you can't. No, we can't plug our laptops on there. So can you do it with no slides? Just talk? No? Or USB, but we don't have them. Yeah, thing is that we only have, yeah. Well, in the meantime, while Matthias prepares, I will say that for all those keep staying with us during the afternoon, meaning legal hackers and legal hackers friends and partners, we will be departing from here by bus or by Uber, whatever, to the university, the CEU University. Remember, program is here, address is here. And we will start at 2 with the workshops, and we do have a small lunchbox waiting for us at the university. So we'll go there, our lunchbox, and start with our legal hackers organizers workshop at the CEU University. Paco and Guille here will be leading the group who wants to either take the bus or taxis or whatever. So that's housekeeping part is over. And in the meantime, and to conclude before the end, before the actual end, what we wanted to do today was also to test this this format, which is not very often used in a legal sector. The first thing was also when I had all this list of people joining from all around, I thought it's impossible to pick, you know, like 5 speakers out of all this very interesting crowd joining. So it was kind of the only way we could do this was like that, so that people could actually come and talk. So it's a shame we haven't been able to go in depth in most of the topics. And I think all of them were really interesting, but feel free to reach out to all those who've been talking today. Either if you're interested individually in taking part of all this, or if you're interested in your chapters talking about these topics. Well, we know you all know where to find us, and we hope that some of the topics have been inspiring for you, and probably we lack a lot of answers. We probably leave with more questions than we are before, but I get that's part of the game, and it will keep us thinking hard and hacking. So thank you all. And now let's see. Okay, Mattia can. Okay.
I can start telling that there is no polemic intent in my presentation, but something that happened this morning while I was having breakfast. And it is I tried to make this presentation the most funny possible, because it is something I feel very much in public events. If I don't want to speak but only to attend, it is always like dodging cameras and something like this. And this morning I was having breakfast, and a friend of mine sent me a message. So you're in Madrid. And I was like, well, paranoid mode, tinfoil hat mode on, and sent me this picture and told me, you were the one that put the picture in the conference, because I cannot see you, so I am good at the dodging cameras. And so to protect Angela's privacy, I'm calling her with the fantasy name now on. And this made me put some question on it. And I'm waiting for you all over the event if you want to discuss this thing. I am not comfortable of uncontrolled pictures of mine leaking out without my consent. In this case, I'm not upset, but is a good point to start. Often people don't think before posting pictures online, even in presence of babies, children, and we have the youngest legal hacker now, so this is something I feel very much. And even if I consent on publishing my image, the immediate publication showed that that in that moment I was present in Madrid right now. This is not dangerous now for me, but for some people attending a conference could be a potential danger for them. So waiting more for publishing could be something that protects other people. We don't know who we meet in a large meeting. So taking a picture and posting immediately with the geolocalization, tagging people around the audience could be a very big issue for someone. And this is all about my unconference. And I would like to hear about you, about your ideas. I saw someone that nodded while I was speaking, and I think that in a conference like Legal Hackers could be the right audience to discuss this issue. That's all.
Thank you, Mattia. And if I may,
I never tried the presentation. I prepared the white.
No, it was shorter
okay.
than 10. I just did this. I don't know how to switch it off without making it ring. If I may, what many conferences do, and what we haven't done today, but what I've seen is that you usually choose a color, for example, lanyards. Different color of lanyard, which is not colorblind friendly at all, because it's usually red and green. But anyway, depending on the lanyard you have, people know that you can be taken in picture or not. I've seen this in the UK several times.
We use a very similar method, because we organize every year a conference in Lugano on the new data protection law in Switzerland.
Yeah,
and we use the stickers with a red or green camera on it, but people put on the coat and then took off and walk around. So
and Yeah.
And also the lanyard goes in the pocket, something like this. People don't care at all. Even if they don't give the consent, they don't care to be recognizable of their expression of consent.
Yeah, I think that's true, that probably it's a good place to discuss. And also we can discuss this in the afternoon regarding concrete legal hacker chapters and how do they handle privacy within their events. I was thinking about my kids, and we always have to tick the box at school, you know, when they go out, and you need to tick in order to say whether you want them or not to be in the pictures. And of course, then the kids are angry when you say no, because they are taken out of the picture. So they do the group picture, and okay, those who can't be on the picture go on the side, you know, so they're never included in the picture when they would like to be there, but they can't.
The problem is, for example, at my daughter's school, they gave me a privacy consent with only one box to tick, which was pictures, social media site.
Okay, you can't, yeah, you can't
And
separate.
I negated my consents, and the director, do you really negated the consent? So you
don't you know my job?
Don't you know my job? You will learn.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we can just finish in order to be on time. Guy has been sending the instructions on the chat for those who are there. Those who are not members of who were not members of the legal hackers community, you can consider yourself as such now. And that's as easy as that. No consent needed.
No consent. And no opposition.
No position. So, and in Spain, specifically, we could do with more hands in most of the chapters. So all those interested in of course, thank you to all Madrid legal hackers who are supporting and who are around and involved in all the logistics, but we could all do with more hands. So if you're interested, just reach out to us, and we hope that Spain can be back this flourishing legal hacker many chapters country that it was in the past. So thank you, everyone. Thank you to all those who dared talking today, and to all those who patiently listened. Thank you, everyone.